This is undoubtedly the most suspenseful and complex drama we've seen so far. It's a mind-bending mystery drama with the most intricate character relationships, so that after watching it, tens of thousands of netizens were shocked and rated it highly. It hasn't dropped out of the top 10 mystery drama rankings in years. It evokes deep fear even without ghosts or supernatural beings. Each episode is a mind-bending spectacle filled with dozens of mysteries. The Invisible Face. Without further ado, let's begin the story. The charming and sophisticated mailman, Mitsuru Hirokawa, moved into his wife's long illness. They relocated to an upscale residential area called West's Small Town. The scenery is beautiful and the air is fresh, portrayed by real estate developers as the ideal place for restorative living. However, just a few months after the Hirokawas moved here, Mrs. Hirokawa sadly passed away without defeating her illness. And that's just the bizarre beginning. Due to the large number of characters and the complex plot, I will divide the story into 3 lines and later merge them. After the wife's funeral, Hirokawa, exhausted, just returned home. He heard someone ring the doorbell. The visitor claimed to be Ms. Yada from nearby. She was familiar with Mrs. Hirokawa, but from her words, it seemed she didn't know Mrs. Hirokawa had passed away, especially after she learned of her death. She appeared notably shocked and confused. Hirokawa wanted to speak with Ms. Yada face to face, but when he opened the door, no one was there. What's even stranger is that the next day, Hirokawa was on his way home from work when he happened to pass by Ms. Bato's house, so he rang her doorbell. However, Ms. Bato said she had never been to Hirokawa's house last night, nor did she know Hirokawa's wife. A few days later, news of Ms. Bato's death spread in the neighborhood. It was said that Ms. Bato became disillusioned due to long-term illness. She secretly left the hospital yesterday and hid herself at home. This news left Hirokawa even more puzzled. After all, he had spoken with Ms. Bato through the intercom just a few days prior. With this curiosity in mind, Hirokawa went to Ms. Bato's house. He asked her nephew, who was sorting through her belongings, if Ms. Bato had indeed returned home from the hospital to hang herself yesterday. So the question arises, who was the lady that spoke with Hirokawa earlier? A few days later, the lady living across from Hirokawa suddenly fell seriously ill. Her condition was critical. The sound of an ambulance attracted many neighbors to come and check. Hirokawa was no exception. The male homeowner, Mr. Tin, singled out Hirokawa to help take care of his daughter. This put Hirokawa in a difficult position. After all, the girl wasn't very young anymore, and Hirokawa was a recently widowed bachelor. It was really not convenient for him. The most gossipy resident, Miss Cusi, stepped up, offering to take care of Mr. Ken's daughter for a night. However, Mr. Tin still insisted on his preference. Well, why not let her come to my place? I've always had a good relationship with your wife. Could you please help me this one time? What? In the end, it was really difficult for her return to me. Kanji had no choice but to agree to let his daughter stay with Miss Kyoko for the night. Miss Kyoko is a well-known gossip in this neighborhood. She not only likes to pry into her neighbor's business, but also enjoys inspecting the trash they throw out. This helps her infer what kind of food the household eats, and what they have been doing. It's evident just how unbearably nosy she is. But that day, Gossip Grandma Kyoko turned over the garbage pile, and unexpectedly discovered a long-dead male body, the shop being an entire neighborhood. During the police investigation, they found that while this area seemed peaceful, it was actually eerie and peculiar, especially since every household's cameras aren't monitoring their own doors, but had to visit opposite homes. It's as if everyone is secretly watching each other. Upon investigation, including the male body, there had already been 3 deaths in the neighborhood during this time. Though Hirochi's wife and Ms. Yamada passed away from illness, could there be any connections among them? Meanwhile, the story introduces a new character. Nunade is a diligent and responsible nurse, but she has been troubled by something for a long time. That is her difficulty in rejecting others. Even unreasonable requests from others, she would reluctantly agree to. Fortunately, after a busy day of work, she has a mental support that's always there for her. It's just the male escort at the bar, Ace. For this reason, Samai often visits Ace's workplace. She spends fortune to boost his performance. She's even willing to take out a loan just to make him smile, especially after hearing that Ace needed only 800 yen to operate. She planned to take on a few extra jobs to contribute her part. That night, she saw a loan advertisement. As she became engrossed in it, she was interrupted by an old classmate. From Samai's distressed expression, it was clear she wasn't very close to this classmate. But when the classmate mentioned a lucrative project, she was still intrigued. So the classmate quickly called over her accomplices. They coerced Samai into signing a soap distribution agreement, since she couldn't come up with that much capital. She also had to sign a loan agreement as collateral. At this point, Samai was filled with regret, especially when the classmate and her accomplices said they wouldn't let her leave unless she signed both agreements. She was even less brave to express her stance. Given her personality, she reluctantly prepared to agree to sign. Just when things seemed dire, a lawyer named Ritsu was watching nearby. She intervened and stopped the course of scam against the scheme aimed at Samai. Eventually, the two were treated, and Samai seemed to have found a savior. She revealed many long-standing troubles and secrets to Ritsu. To say all this, Nana seemed to have found redemption. To make Nana discern human nature and reality soon, like a pure little rabbit, Ritsuko told her to follow her advice, to confess to the bartender Ace that she would no longer visit bars to support him. She could only silently support him mentally. Unexpectedly, the usually gentle Ace suddenly showed a different side. He yelled at Nana, venting his dissatisfaction. He even demanded that Nana immediately repay the bar tab. Thus, Ritsuko used her expertise to help Nana solve this big trouble, and helped her see the true face of the so-called idol. She even helped her get a decent job and provided housing. The supervisor at the new company told her the current job content is only temporary. Later, they would provide her with a job suited to her professional skills. For this, the company specifically would pay her debts incurred to support Ace from various landing platforms, totaling 3 million yen. Nana was very grateful to Ritsuko for her guidance and help. She readily signed the employment agreement, and felt fortunate to have received Ritsuko's redemption. But just a few days later, at the top where Ritsuko was the main speaker, Nana, who was temporarily assigned as the greeter, unexpectedly saw a familiar figure. This person was the classmate who previously advised her to become a soap agent. What surprised her even more was, Xiaobai told her that her whole family were loyal fans of Ritsuko. It was her honor to meet Ritsuko and be chosen by her. My dad was fired from his job. My mom got sick and was hospitalized. My mom is in a hospital again due to illness. But thanks to the teacher's hand therapy, everything is going smoothly now. At this moment, the cheerful Kaikai realizes, it turns out, she has fallen from a small pit into a bigger abyss. However, Ritsuko, seemingly admired by many fans, is just a small piece in this complex theme. Next, let's return to the neighborhood where Hiroshi lives, linking the plot of the characters above together. The identity of the metal corpse found in the community has yet to be revealed. Officer Hashimoto, who is responsible for this case, begins to conduct visits to gather information. The gossip-loving Hasako provides him with a strange tip. That is, on the night when Brother Tan's wife was hospitalized, Hirokawa warmly invited Brother Tan's daughter, Nanoko, to stay at his home. Hirokawa couldn't help but laugh at this news. He immediately guessed that it's just Ms. Hasako being too idle to come up with such a comment. Through his conversation with Hirokawa, Officer Hashimoto learns that residents living in the Rest City White area all have been dealing with long-standing health issues in their families. Some have already passed away, while others are undergoing treatment. What seems like a normal coincidence is, in fact, remarkably eerie. Thus, Officer Hashimoto continues the investigation from this perspective. But just as the two were parting ways, Hirokawa accidentally notices Hasako spying on him with binoculars. She even proactively asked him the next day about the police questioning. This again annoyed and exasperated Hirokawa. Hirokawa is a university lecturer majoring in history and literature. He is skilled academically, but despises power struggles within management. This is very similar to Professor Bakusho at the same school. The two became tacit lifelong friends. But recently, the school wants to re-elect the principal. The history and literature department is proposing Professor Bashan to become the new leader. Despite Professor Bashan's repeated reluctance, he couldn't resist the enthusiastic recommendations from several teachers. In the end, he agreed to participate in the principal election. Everyone was very happy that day. The director suggested they all drink a toast to celebrate. But Wang Quan displayed a worried and timid expression. This was because Wang Quan had harmed others 2 years ago. As a result, he has life with and no one to drink. Tonight, Wang Quan reluctantly drank the beer. After the gathering, he started home with Professor Zizou. Professor Zizou is not only Wang Quan's colleague, but also the younger sister of Wang Quan's late wife. After her sister's death, Zizou was very worried about Wang Quan's mental state. Now then, to provide care and comfort for Wang Quan. Over time, their bond became closer. Asa and her sister had a mother with a strong need for control. This control left Issa feeling suffocated and hopeless, but she never dared to defy her mother's wishes or demands. So, over the years, Issa lived in this contradictory and extremely painful life. That morning, Wang Quan was awoken by an urgent doorbell. She avoided her parents' brother Tan and sister Tan had been missing for 2 days. Wang Quan remembered they had spoken about sister Tan's illness before brother Tan went missing. Wang Quan remembers, before Tanju went missing, they had a conversation about Tan Xiao's illness. It is said that Tan Xiao strongly insisted on being discharged at that time. She was taken to a private clinic that used folk remedies to treat patients, and is said to be a folk remedy called Daisho. Tan Xiao and the other patients there believed strongly in it. Originally, Tanju wanted to ask Wang Quan if Daisho was reliable, but Wang Quan didn't know much about it either. He had never even heard of it. Later, with the arrival of Miss Konko, the two ended this conversation. Wang Quan then recounted this memory to Officer Hashimoto. By this point, many characters in the story finally converged. Riko is the minister here. Her job is to recruit more useful people to serve Kwanmohui. Recruiting means exploiting human weaknesses. For example, Nomoi is a small piece that Riko just recruited. Of course, Nomoi has a father, Officer Hashimoto, who is busy with work and has a bad temper. This is why Nomoi feels unsupported and ran away from home. To let more people know and believe in Kwanmohui, like cases such as Tensao who have been in poor health, Riko is just a minor character in all this. The real big boss is an unexpected character. Ritsuko is just a small character in this. The real big boss is an unexpected character.